Week one of the NFL season is here, and we are happy to have it back. We will have football now every week until the end of the year. Bills 2.5-point favorites as they take on the Rams tonight in the season opener. Then you have the Kansas City Chiefs Sunday, one of the late games on CBS. 6-point favorites as they visit the Cardinals. Raiders and Chargers, that's a great one in the AFC West to get things going there. Chargers 3-point favorites. And then you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady beginning his 23rd season versus the Cowboys. A Buccaneers sitting at 2.5-point favorites. That's the Sunday night game to kick off the season. All right, for more on the Week 1 games, let's welcome in former NFL defensive end Leger Douzable, who spent time with the Buffalo Bills. They, of course, open the season tonight, 2.5-point favorites versus those defending Super Bowl champions. Leger, the Bills are also 6-1 favorites to win the whole darn thing as the season gets going. This team is stacked all over the place, but you have found one area of concern. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the right side of the offensive line. If you look at the Bills' offensive line as whole, the left side looks spectacular, right? You got Deion Dawkins over there, Roger Saffold, who they brought over in free agency, and Mitch Morse. These guys have had a lot of starts, right, as NFL players. But that right side, Ryan Bates, Spencer Brown, and potentially David Quisenberry, depending on who starts at right tackle, they haven't played a lot of football. Quisenberry, was brought over from Tennessee. He started there last year, started all 17 games for him, but that was truly his first year starting. And Spencer Brown, this is a guy, right, on the offensive line that was a high draft pick. This is a guy that they've had to move up and down the line of scrimmage because they just don't know where to put him. He struggled at right guard. He struggled at right tackle. So I know the defensive line coach for the Rams, Eric Henderson, and he's very familiar with the offensive line coach, Aaron Cromer, for the Buffalo Bills because he was with the Rams in 2020. So he knows how they pass set. He knows how the offensive line tries to block his defender. So he's looking for advantageous situations, right? He wants to get his guys in third and long situations where he could potentially maybe take over on that right side, because if you got a guy like Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd, and you got, a guy like Ryan Bates and Spencer Brown who doesn't have a lot of experience, you want to take advantage of that. So I know that this Rams defensive line is probably salivating at the mouth at that right side. Now the Bills do a good job of keeping Dawson Knox, their highly new paid tight end, and sometimes in pass protection to block, and I think they'll do some of that tonight. But that right side, there's some concerns if you're on the Bills offense.
There are 10 new head coaches this season, and there has also been plenty of quarterback changes. Baker Mayfield, of course, now QB1 for the Carolina Panthers. Matt Ryan is now the starter in Indy. Carson Wentz leading the Commanders. Trey Lance takes over for Jimmy G in San Francisco. The biggest move, though, of course, Russell Wilson dealt to the Broncos. Wilson will become the first quarterback in history to start a game versus the team he won the Super Bowl with as the starting quarterback for the team that he beat in that game.
Yeah, the NFL loves storylines. It's almost like TNT. We love drama. You got Russell Wilson going back to where he spent 10 years of his career. The thing is, the Denver Broncos brought Russell Wilson in there to win a Super Bowl. They felt like they were a ready-made team. The thing is, can Russell Wilson live within the offense? The last year and a half, he's had the injury. The offense didn't look as well. They were letting Russ cook, 2 years ago, and he was the MVP frontrunner. And then the back half of the season, when they went to the playoffs 2 years ago, it didn't look good. Last year, again, had the injured thumb, comes back, doesn't look good, in the beginning of the year. Then they start running the ball with Rashad Penny. Then Russell Wilson started looking a little better. If you look at this Denver team, right, it's built off the run game. They had two running backs go for damn near 1,000 yards apiece. So can Russell Wilson live within the offense? And then when they need him to be that magic man, make those plays, throw that moon ball to Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy. Can he do that? Because this defense is a championship defense, and they added to it, right? DJ Jones on the defensive line and Randy Gregory to get after the quarterback and stop the run. So it's going to come down to Russell Wilson. There's a reason they paid him over $160 million guaranteed, is to take them to the next level. Can Russell Wilson elevate the Denver Broncos? We'll find out in week one and throughout the season for the Denver Broncos.
Leger, what kind of reception are you expecting him to get when he returns to Seattle?
I mean, he's done so much for Seattle. I don't think there will be any boos. Yeah, I know he asked for the trade and all, but I think, the fans will really be receptive to him because he's done so much there, right? Took them to 2 Super Bowls. Now, granted, he wasn't the sole reason they went to those 2 Super Bowls, but, this guy has bleeded, Seahawk blue and green for his whole career until this last year, right? Every interview he did, go Hawks at the end of it. Now I know it's let's ride, but this guy always, had the mantra of go Hawks. He's a Seattle Seahawk through and through. I think he's going to have a lovely reception when he comes out to play the Seattle Seahawks on Monday night.
Broncos 6.5-point favorites with the total set at 44.5. Talking week one storylines with former NFL defensive end Leger Douzable. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens at the Jets for their opener. Lamar has set a deadline for a contract extension deal for tomorrow. Otherwise, it's going to have to wait. Now, despite his insistence that it goes on the back burner, how much of a distraction could this be?
Yeah, people talk about this all the time, and players go out and say, no matter what, I'm not going to, make this a distraction. But honestly, from a player's perspective, it is a distraction. You're thinking about it, right? It's almost kind of like the Aaron Judge situation up with the New York Yankees, right? He decided to bet on himself, and right now he's probably going to earn more, like at least $90 million more because he bet on himself. With Lamar Jackson, I don't understand what the Ravens are doing. How do you not get this deal done? Now, again, you said it, Jeremy, right? They've already set a date for tomorrow. Lamar has that he wants this contract done, or he's going to play this year out on his current deal. But if you look at Lamar Jackson and what he's done, when you talk about a franchise quarterback, it's all about, can you elevate your team when things aren't going well? Well, we saw Lamar Jackson do that last year. I mean, how many injuries did the Baltimore Ravens have? Top 3 running backs out. Their 2 corners get banged up. His all-pro left tackle gets hurt. His blocking tight end wasn't there. And he's able to elevate his team. That Monday night game versus the Colts had to lead him on 4 straight drives, including 1 in overtime, to win that game. And then the Detroit Lions, right? Hollywood Brown had a couple drops. They really should have been winning that game by a lot. They're down late in the fourth quarter. Makes 2 miraculous plays at the end of the game to get Tucker in field goal range to win that game. So when you talk about a franchise quarterback, you talk about a guy that can elevate your team when things aren't going right? We saw the Dallas Cowboys. They struggled when Dak Prescott got hurt, and he actually made more money. Well, the Baltimore Ravens saw what life was like without Lamar Jackson last year, and it wasn't pretty. They were in first place in the AFC. When he goes down, they don't even make the playoffs. So I don't understand how this deal could not be done by now. Honestly, $230 million guaranteed should have been the floor for Lamar Jackson because the way he elevates his team.
Well, and if he has the type of season that Aaron Judge has certainly had, is in terms of a baseball equivalency, that guaranteed money is going to be off the charts because he bet on himself. All right, could be a good start to the Trey Lance era for the 49ers. They go to Chicago to face a Bears team that they're not expected to win a ton of games this year. Sorry, Chris Hassel. And if Lance struggles or gets hurt, I mean, Jimmy G is still there. How weird is this situation?
It's very weird, right? Because for the longest throughout the offseason, everybody thought that Jimmy G would ultimately be traded. Now, him getting the surgery late kind of hurt the 49ers when it came to that. But when Kyle Shanahan went back to, Trey Lance and told him that, we think we can get this done with Jimmy G, get a deal done. How do you feel about him coming back? I mean, what is Trey Lance supposed to say? No, get him out of here? Of course he's going to be like, well, I'm happy. But then there was rumors that came out of San Francisco that supposedly he wasn't happy about the situation. Now, you got to think about it. This is a young quarterback. You gave up 3 first-round picks. Right there's already immense pressure. Let's take it to the locker room now, Jeremy. You got a team that is highly respectful of Jimmy G. Like, they respect him so much. They love him there. They love his intangibles. They love his leadership. I was there with him in 2017 when we traded for him from the New England Patriots. He changed our whole dynamic around, right? When he came in, we won like the last 6 games in a row, and we had struggled to get any wins before he got there. So you talk about that leadership aspect. And again, if Trey Lance comes out of the gate struggling, then you worry about some of those veterans on the team. Trent Williams, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, who had 1,400 receiving yards with Jimmy G. Hey, Kyle, I mean, we got a made-ready team right now. Put the guy in that's taking us to 2 NFC championships and a Super Bowl within the last 3 years. Because, again, we have a ready-made team and probably the best defense in all the land. I mean, Nick Bosa, Pro Bowl defensive end, has already come out and says Trey Lance doesn't have to do much, right? Our defense is elite. We have, playmakers on offense. He just can't lose this game. So you're worried about a young quarterback, thinking about that, and the psyche of a young quarterback, knowing that a guy that just took this team to the Super Bowl and the NFC championship game is looming in the back, just waiting for his opportunity.
Longtime 49ers fans will certainly remember the days of Joe Montana and Steve Young and the battle between those two, Young starting and Montana kind of waiting in the wings, having already won a Super Bowl. This kind of smacks as that a little bit. We'll see what happens as the season progresses there. AFC West expected to be a dogfight this year between the Raiders, Chargers, Broncos, and Chiefs. The Raiders and Chargers get the division game started right away. The 126th meeting between the two. Chargers sitting as 3-point favorites. Leger, how important is this game right off the bat?
It's monumental because those games in the AFC West are going to come at a premium. And Jeremy, The NFL game is run by passers and pass rushers, and we got some of the best in this game. This is going to be must-watch TV. If you look at Justin Herbert, he's my favorite quarterback in the NFL right now. I mean, the most passing yards in the first 2 seasons in the NFL. They really tried to shore up that O-line by getting Zion Johnson in the first round. And then, again, he came into a made-ready team on the outside with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Austin Eckler. So he has everything at his disposal to have success. Derek Carr, I don't know why there's so much disrespect for Derek Carr. I mean, this guy had 6 come-from-behind victories in the fourth quarter last year. A clutch guy. I mean, what other quarterback dealing with what he had to deal with his head coach and then the other off-the-field issues the Raiders had to deal with and still lead his team to the playoffs and throw for over 4,800 yards? Now you're telling me he gets the best receiver in the game, Devontae Adams, a guy he has a real rapport with, he works out with him every offseason, is his best friends. I love it. This is a game that you would think on paper there's going to be a lot of fireworks, but again, the game is run by passers, pass rushers. Look at the pass rushers in this game, right? The LA Chargers, right? They couldn't stop a nosebleed last year. So what do? They spent money on defense in that defensive tackle group, Austin Jackson, Sebastian Day. These guys will plug up holes and stop guys from running through that middle of the line of scrimmage. And then Khalil Mack, you pair him with Joey Bosa. Now, I know Khalil Mack's been banged up a little bit, but Joey Bosa's never had a guy like Khalil Mack on the other side. So now Joey Bosa doesn't have to worry about getting double teamed, play in and play out. They'll both be able to get to the quarterback. And then if you look at the Raiders, what did they do? They went and got Chandler Jones, a guy who routinely gets 10+ sacks every year, and you match him up with Mad Max Crosby, to me, one of the most underrated defensive ends in the game, because it's not just pass rush for him. He dominates in the run game and getting tackles for losses too. So again, this game is run by passers and pass rushers, and this game will have a premium of both of them.
Yeah, and what a way to kick off play in the AFC West. He's former NFL defensive end Leger Douzable joining us to discuss some of the many Week 1 storylines in the NFL. Great to see you, and we'll see you, of course, all season long. That Raiders-Chargers game, one of many games we'll have for you on CBS. It's in that late window. We also have fellow AFC West side Kansas City and Arizona. We'll also have the Baker Mayfield revenge game against the Browns. Check your local listings for games, or you can stream your local game over on Paramount+.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.